thought I'd do a quick video on getting some good shots of birds on feeders. If you're as interested as I am just lately of attracting various different species of birds into the garden with feeders full of food for different species, and I've been interested in trying to get a decent picture of some of those birds. I've tried from in the house with some long lenses and crop in. It starts to get a little bit ropey when you crop in that far, because it's about 30 foot away, and even with a 60D and a 75 or whatever to 250 lens, which ends up being about 400 on a tripod, still you still need to crop quite a bit. So basic equipment, okay. You need a remote release. I've got a wireless one which is quite inexpensive. This one is the Photo Olex one. It's on Amazon. I'll try and put a link in below for this one, and I found that this is pretty good. It's 2.4 gigahertz and it works from quite a good distance away, at least sort of 30 foot away and inside a house sort of thing, which is as good as what you need. And I'm just using it purely as a remote release, but this thing it's kind of a copy of the Canon remote system, which is also probably wired. You can set intervals and number of exposures, etc, etc, and use this with the bulb setting, but basically we're using it as a remote release. Okay, so that's the transmitter. On the camera here, let's stick that in my pocket. On the camera here is the receiver, and it comes with a couple of different cables to plug into your camera depending on what kind of a connection you have, and a little lanyard to hang it from. Okay, so that is releasing my camera. My camera is obviously going to wake up when this thing sends a sort of a pre-signal to trigger the shutter, but I think I've got my camera set to about 8 minutes, something like that, before it goes to sleep. Most importantly, the camera is set to not beep. So in the first menu in the Canon system, the beep is set to off, and then also you want it on silent shooting. If you don't, you'll get lots of pictures of birds flying away because they are very fast. And so if you, on the 5D Mark III, and I don't think you can do this on earlier models, but don't quote me on that, but you basically press the drive button and select whatever mode you want with an S before it, and the S is silent shooting. Okay, on top of the camera we have a Yongnuo 622 transmitter, because I'm using a bit of fill-in flash on here. I'm at the moment using a 400th of a second at f5.6 ISO 1000. That's the ambient setting, but I'm just adding a little bit of punch with the flash. It's got a diffuser on it. The other half of the Yongnuo transceiver is here, the 622 transceiver, and basically that gives me the ETTL metering for the camera. So and at this light level, the Canon will use it as a fill-in flash, which is what I want. So I'm set to f5.6. Got a really good 70-200 f4L lens. Got my transceivers for the flash, and I've got a Yongnuo flash on here. This is the 568EX Mark II, which is a really good flash. In the menu system, I've got this to be on all the time. It does not go to sleep. Okay, so how does this work in total? I've got my my remote transmitter. Basically this goes to sleep after a couple of minutes. Okay, and it needs to also send a pre-signal to the camera. So basically you need to press the button once, the green LED will flash. So you always need to press it once, and then when you press it again, the green LED will flash. It sends a signal to the camera will focus, and it's ready to take a picture. So I always press it once, then I'm going to take the picture. So press it once, then you can take a picture. On the second press, the receiver receives the signal to trigger the camera. The camera is set on manual, and it's on a 400th of a second at f5.6. In this situation, ISO 1000, depending on where your feeder is. We're under a tree. I've got some fill-in flash. When the camera fires through the Yongnuo transceiver, sends a signal to the transceiver on the flash, then flash fires, and it will be metered for a fill-in at f5.6, and you get your shot basically. The fact that the camera is set to silent shooting and the fact that the beeper is enabled means that when I focus there's no beep. Sometimes the beep frightens the birds away, and usually I find I can take about 4 or 5 shots when there's a bird on the perch, which is the focus area, and that's how I'm getting some shots. If you've got any questions, I'm not going to be able to answer specifics on every camera, but if you have any questions about this setup, just let me know. If we just go a little bit wider here, you can see, so we've got the camera on the tripod, the image stabilization on the lens is turned off, the flash on a tripod. And once they've been there for about an hour, the birds seem to get used to the fact that they're there. Okay. From that, I'm quite happy that I'm getting some reasonable pictures of the birds.